Welcome to a journey of transformation. What if I told you that small, simple habits could completely change your life? That just by making tiny shifts in your daily routine, you could feel happier, more confident, and more in control of your future. Sounds too good to be true, right? But what if it isn't? Meet Emily, a woman just like you, overworked, overwhelmed, and stuck in the chaos of daily life. She thought happiness was something reserved for other people. She believed self-improvement was for those who had time, energy, and willpower she simply didn't possess. Until she decided to try something different. One challenge. One habit at a time. In this story, you'll follow Emily's journey as she discovers the power of 8 life-changing habits, from gratitude and meditation to self-care and mindfulness. You'll laugh with her, struggle with her, and celebrate as she turns her life around step by step. And here's the best part. These habits aren't just for Emily. They're for you. Each chapter is packed with insights, lessons, and simple actions that you can start applying to your own life right now. So, are you ready to break free from the cycle of stress, procrastination, and self-doubt? Are you ready to take back control and create the life you deserve? Then stay with us until the very end, because this story might just change your life too. Don't forget to like this video if you're excited to start this journey with Emily. Share this with someone who needs a little inspiration. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single chapter. Thank you for being here. Now, let's dive into the story and discover what's possible. Enjoy. Small habits that will change your life. Are you brave enough? To try habit 1, the power of gratitude journaling. Emily slammed her car door shut, tossing her purse onto the passenger seat with a frustrated sigh. Another exhausting day at the advertising agency. Another round of last-minute changes, impossible deadlines, and a boss who seemed to think work-life balance was just a marketing gimmick. The city lights flickered outside her windshield, blurred. By exhaustion, her phone buzzed. Rachel. Hey, Em, how was work? Emily let out a dry laugh. Imagine being chased by a rabid dog while juggling flaming torches. That about sums it up. Rachel chuckled. That bad, huh? Look, I have something that might help. Emily rolled her eyes. If you say meditation, I swear I will. No. Just hear me out. It's called gratitude journaling. Every night you write down 3 things you're grateful for. Big, small, doesn't matter. Emily groaned. Rachel, I barely have time to sleep. You want me to start writing essays about my feelings? No essays, just 3 things, takes 5 minutes. Humor me. Try it for a week. Emily sighed, rubbing her temples. Fine, 1 week. If it doesn't work, you owe me tacos. Rachel laughed. Deal. That night, Emily sat cross-legged on her bed, a brand new notebook staring back at her. The empty page felt like a silent dare. What on earth was she grateful for today? The universe certainly hadn't handed her any gifts. She tapped the pen against her chin. Fine, here goes nothing. My coffee didn't spill this morning despite me sprinting to catch the train. A miracle. The receptionist at work gave me a cookie. Free food. Happiness. Rachel. Annoyingly wise, but a good friend nonetheless. She closed the notebook feeling neutral. It didn't change anything. Her job still sucked. Her boss was still the human equivalent of an alarm clock that only blared bad news, and she was still exhausted. But hey, at least she got a cookie. By day 3, something strange happened. Instead of dragging herself through the day in a state of autopilot misery, Emily found herself actually looking for good things. Tiny wins. The barista remembered her. Name, noted. Found a $10 bill in her old coat pocket. Jackpot. The office printer didn't jam for once. Unbelievable. A week later, she sat across from Rachel at their favorite taco spot, begrudgingly admitting, okay, fine. Maybe it kinda works. A little. Rachel smirked. Told you. Now, do I get my you were right trophy? Emily rolled her eyes. Don't push it. By the 2nd week, the effects deepened. One evening after a particularly stressful day, Emily came home feeling like she had been chewed up and spat out by corporate life. She flopped onto her couch, staring at the ceiling, her mind replaying every mistake, every criticism, every exhausting moment. Her notebook sat on the coffee table. With a sigh, she reached for it. The security guard at work held the elevator. For me, saved me at least 5 minutes. My neighbor's dog wagged its tail when it saw me. I needed that. The sunset was really beautiful today. I almost forgot how nice it is to just stop and look up. She shut the book and exhaled. It didn't erase the stress, but it softened it. Her problems weren't disappearing, but her perspective was shifting. The good was always there. It had just been buried under all the noise. 1 month in, Emily had an epiphany. She was standing in line at the grocery store when she overheard 2 women complaining about their lives, about their jobs, their families, their endless stress. It was a conversation she could have easily joined a month ago. But now, Emily realized something. She didn't want to be that person anymore. The person who only saw what was wrong, who missed all the small joys because she was too busy focusing on the inconveniences. She didn't have a perfect life, but she had good things, and acknowledging them made all the difference. One day, her boss, yes, that boss, stormed into the office, barking orders and demanding impossible deadlines. The old Emily would have spiraled into a vortex of stress and resentment. But new Emily? New Emily took a deep breath, pulled out her notebook, and jotted down, "I still have a job. Even if it's crazy, it pays the bills." My coworker made a joke that actually made me snort laugh today. That never happens. There are donuts in the break room, thank God for sugar. And just like that, the day felt a little lighter. Rachel called. That night. "All right, gratitude guru, what's the verdict?" Emily grinned. "Turns out you were right." Rachel gasped dramatically. "Wait, say that again. I need to record it." Emily laughed. "Don't push it, but seriously, it's weird. I still have bad days. But now I don't live in them. They don't consume me." Rachel smiled. "That's the power of gratitude. It doesn't erase problems, but it shifts how you carry them." Emily nodded, flipping through the pages of her journal, seeing weeks' worth of small, beautiful moments stacked together. Moments she would have missed if she hadn't written them down. That night she added a new entry, this journal. Because it changed everything. Takeaway. Gratitude journaling isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's about training your brain to notice the good, even in the middle of the chaos. It rewires your mindset, makes you more resilient, and shifts your focus from what's missing to what's already there. Try it. Tonight, write down 3 things. No matter how small, because sometimes the smallest things make the biggest difference. Habit 2. Morning meditation. The secret to a calmer life. Emily had always despised mornings. They were chaotic, rushed, and most importantly, an unrelenting reminder that she had another long, stressful day ahead. Her alarm clock was her sworn enemy, her morning coffee a lifeline, and her commute an obstacle course of grumpy faces and car horns. One Sunday, as she sat across from Rachel at their usual brunch spot, shoveling eggs and toast into her mouth, like a starving raccoon, Rachel gave her a knowing look. You should try morning meditation." Emily nearly choked on her orange juice. "Meditation? You mean sitting cross-legged in a room full of incense while chanting Om?" "Yeah, no thanks." Rachel rolled her eyes. "It's not like that. Meditation isn't just for monks, you know. It's about starting the day with a clear mind instead of waking up in panic mode. Just 10 minutes in the morning can change everything." Emily scoffed. "You expect me to wake up earlier just to sit in silence?" Rachel smirked. "Think of it this way. If it doesn't work, you get to complain to me for a whole month, but if it does, you might actually feel human before noon." Emily sighed. "Fine. But if I fall asleep sitting up, I'm blaming you." Day 1. The disaster, Next morning, Emily groggily pulled herself out of bed 10 minutes earlier than usual, already resenting Rachel. She sat on her couch, crossed her legs, closed her eyes, and took a deep breath. Her mind immediately revolted. Did I send that email? Yesterday? I should check my phone. Wait, is my rent due today? Why does my neighbor always vacuum at 7 a.m.? Her eyes snapped open. 2 minutes had passed. She groaned, flopped backward onto the couch, and promptly fell asleep. Day 3. Slight progress. Day 3. Emily managed to sit still for 5 minutes without opening her eyes or mentally drafting emails. She focused on her breathing, inhaling slowly, exhaling deeply. She still felt impatient, but she noticed something strange. Her usual morning anxiety wasn't as intense. Maybe Rachel isn't entirely full of it. Day 7. A shift one morning. Emily woke up to a frantic email from her boss demanding last-minute changes on a project. Normally, this would send her into full-blown panic mode before she even got out of bed. But instead of immediately grabbing her laptop, she sat down for her meditation session. 10 minutes later, she still had a stressful day ahead, but her heart wasn't racing. She wasn't overwhelmed before the day even started. For the first time, she realized, meditation doesn't make problems disappear. It just makes you deal with them better. Week 2. The test. Rachel was delighted to hear that Emily was sticking with it. Told you, she teased. It's like a mental warm-up before the chaos starts. Emily shrugged. It's tolerable, I guess. Oh, it's better than tolerable. You're noticeably less cranky before your coffee. Emily rolled her eyes, but secretly admitted Rachel had a point. Something about meditation was working. Then, on Thursday, it was put to the ultimate test. Emily spilled coffee all over herself 5 minutes before leaving for work. Her favorite white blouse, ruined. The old Emily would have spiraled into a bad mood, convinced the entire day was doomed. But new, meditating Emily? She took a deep breath, changed her shirt, and left the house. No tantrum, no cursing the universe. Just a deep inhale, exhale, and an acceptance that coffee spills were not the end of the world. When she told Rachel about it later, Rachel grinned. Welcome to the Enlightened Club. A month later. The new normal. By week 4, morning meditation was no longer a challenge. It was a necessity. Emily didn't just do it because Rachel told her to. She did it because she felt the difference. Stressful. Days still happened. Work was still chaotic. But something inside her had shifted. She could separate herself from the madness. Instead of reacting instantly to stress, she had a moment of pause. A buffer between life's curveballs and her emotions. One morning, as she finished her meditation session, she sipped her coffee and smiled. It tasted better somehow. Or maybe she was just more present to enjoy it. She texted Rachel, Emily, I hate to say this, but you were right. Rachel, screenshotting this for future arguments. Also, I accept payment in the form of brunch. Emily laughed. Fine, but I'm ordering the most expensive thing on the menu. As she headed to work, she realized mornings didn't feel like battles anymore. They were something else entirely. A fresh start. Takeaway. Meditation doesn't eliminate stress. It just changes the way you handle it. When you train your mind to pause, to breathe, and to be present, everything else becomes easier. Try it. 10 minutes a day. No fancy cushions or incense required. Because sometimes the best way to start the day is simply to breathe. Habit 3. The magic of daily reading. Emily had always wanted to be one of those people who read every day. You know the type, the ones who carry books around like an extra limb, who always have an insightful quote ready at a moment's notice, and who somehow manage to finish multiple books a month despite working a full-time job. She was not one of those people. Her bookshelves weren't empty, far from it. They were filled with books she had enthusiastically purchased but never opened. Bestsellers, self-help guides, novels recommended by friends, each one sitting patiently, gathering dust, waiting for its moment to shine. But somehow Netflix, social media, and the endless black hole of YouTube always won. One day, Rachel brought it up over coffee. Em, you ever finish that book I lent you? Emily took a guilty sip. Define finish, Rachel sighed. Okay, new challenge. 10 pages a day, just 10, no pressure, no deadlines, no guilt. Emily raised an eyebrow. 10 pages? That's it? That's it. It sounded ridiculously simple. Too simple. But after the success of meditation, Emily was willing to give Rachel's wisdom another shot. Day 1. The struggle. Emily picked up a book she had started and abandoned months ago and settled into her couch. 10 pages. Easy, right? Wrong. By page 4, she checked her phone. By page 6, she realized she was thinking about dinner. By page 8, she wondered how long 10 pages actually were. She finished, but it felt like a chore. "This is dumb," she texted Rachel. "I don't think I have the attention span for this," Rachel replied almost instantly. "That's because your brain is used to quick dopamine hits from scrolling. Push through. It gets easier." Day 5. The shift. By the 5th day, something changed. Instead of forcing herself to read, she started looking forward to it. The 10-page rule made it feel manageable, not overwhelming. More importantly, she realized how much more relaxed she felt after reading instead of doom scrolling. She texted Rachel, "Okay, maybe there's something to this." Rachel sent back a single word. "Duh." Week 2. The unexpected. Benefit. Emily noticed a strange side effect of daily reading. Her focus improved. At work, she was less distracted. When talking to friends, she found herself listening more deeply instead of half paying attention while scrolling Instagram. She had expected reading to make her smarter. She hadn't expected it to make her present. Week 3. The obsession begins. 10 pages turned into 20, then 30. One night she stayed up past midnight finishing a novel. When was the last time that had happened? Rachel called her out on, You do realize you've officially become a book nerd, right?" Emily laughed. "Is it bad that I kinda love it?" "Nope. Welcome to the club." A month later, a new routine reading had become as natural as drinking her morning coffee. Her bookshelf, once filled with unread books, was now a source of excitement instead of guilt. One night, she curled up with a book, her phone on silent, and realized something. She wasn't thinking about work, or stress, or endless to-do lists. She was just there in the moment, lost in another world. And that was magic. Takeaway. Reading isn't just about gaining knowledge, it's about focus, presence, and giving your mind a break from constant digital overload. Start small. 10 pages a day. No pressure, no guilt. Because sometimes the best escape isn't a screen, it's a story. Habit 4, the power of kindness. Emily had always considered herself a decent person. She held doors open, said thank you to baristas, and donated to charity when prompted by a checkout screen. But beyond that, life was too busy for grand acts of kindness. Then one day, something happened that changed her perspective. A rude awakening it. Started on an ordinary Monday. Emily was running late, her usual. Traffic was unbearable, her coffee had spilled in the car, and by the time she reached the office, she was already in a foul mood. Then she saw her co-worker, Jamie, struggling to carry a ridiculous stack of files and a laptop, clearly on the verge of disaster. Her first instinct? Keep walking. She had her own problems. But something made her stop. "Need a hand," she heard herself say. Jamie's face lit up in relief. "Oh my God, yes, thank you." They walked to the conference room together, and Emily felt something surprising, a tiny spark of warmth that cut through her stress. It was such a small act, but it changed her entire mood. "The experiment begins later that night," she told Rachel about it over the phone. "It's weird," Emily said. "I was having a horrible morning, but helping Jamie actually made me feel better." Rachel chuckled. "There's science behind that, you know. Acts of kindness release serotonin and oxytocin. Basically, being nice is like a natural antidepressant." Emily rolled her eyes. "Oh, great. Now kindness is on my self-improvement to-do list?" "I dare you," Rachel said. "One small act of kindness every day. See what happens." Emily sighed. "You and your challenges." "Fine. But if I end up broke from tipping too much, I'm invoicing you. Day 1. The coffee surprise. The next morning, Emily bought an extra coffee and handed it to the security guard at her office. For me? He asked, surprised. Yeah, Emily shrugged. I figured you might need a caffeine boost too. His face broke. To a grin. That's really kind of you. Thank you. Emily walked to her desk, sipping her own coffee and feeling lighter. Was Rachel onto something? Day 5. The unexpected ripple effect. By the 5th day, Emily had helped an elderly woman carry groceries, left a glowing review for a small business, and sent an encouraging message to a struggling friend. Each act took barely any time, but the effects were noticeable. She felt happier, less trapped in her own stress, more connected to the world around her. Then something unexpected happened. She was standing in line at the grocery store when the man in front of her paid for the groceries of the woman behind him. The woman gasped, eyes wide with gratitude. Wow, thank you. The man shrugged. Someone did it for me once, just paying it forward. Emily felt a jolt of recognition. Had she started a kindness chain without realizing it? The ultimate test. Not every day was easy. One evening, after an exhausting workday, she just wanted to go home and collapse. Then she saw a flustered father struggling to calm his crying toddler while juggling grocery bags. Emily hesitated. She was so tired, but something nudged her forward. Need a hand? She asked. The father sighed in relief. That would be amazing. She helped carry the bags to his car, chatting with the toddler in a silly voice until the crying turned into giggles. The father drove away. He called out, "You have no idea how much that helped. Thank you." Emily stood there, drained yet oddly fulfilled. Maybe kindness wasn't about having extra time or energy. Maybe it was about choosing to care, even when you didn't have to. 1 month later. A new perspective. Emily hadn't changed into a saint overnight, but she had changed. She noticed people more. She looked for moments to help. And in doing so, she found something unexpected. Joy. One afternoon, Rachel sent her text. Rachel. So, how's the kindness experiment going? Did you reach enlightenment yet? Emily. No enlightenment, but I did get a free cookie from the coffee shop because they said I always smile at them. Rachel. See, kindness comes back to you. Emily. Smirked, sipping her coffee. Maybe Rachel was right. Again, takeaway. Being kind isn't about grand gestures. It's about small, everyday choices. Hold the door open. Smile at a stranger. Offer help when it's needed. Because sometimes the smallest things make the biggest impact, not just for others, but for you. Habit 5. Starting the day with purpose. Emily had never been a morning person. Her alarms had snooze buttons that she used at least 3 times, and her morning routine was a mad scramble: shower, coffee, and a half-hearted attempt at looking presentable before sprinting out the door. Mornings were just an obstacle course she had to survive before real life started. Then one day, Rachel threw out another challenge over dinner. What if you started your day intentionally instead of reactively? She asked, twirling a forkful of pasta. Emily raised an eyebrow. You mean like meditation again? 'Cause I already did that one. Rachel smirked. Not quite. I mean waking up with a clear purpose, setting your mind on something specific each morning. It could be a goal for the day, something you want to focus on, or just deciding how you want to feel that day. Emily shrugged. Sounds nice in theory, but I can barely get out of bed without cursing the universe. Rachel laughed. That's exactly why you need this. Just try it for a week. Instead of hitting snooze, take a moment each morning to decide what your day is about. Emily sighed, but she knew the drill by now. Fine, but if this doesn't work, I demand compensation in the form of brunch. Day 1. The chaos continues. Emily's first attempt was, in a word, terrible. Her alarm went off. She groggily mumbled, "Today's goal is not to hate everything," and promptly fell back asleep. By the time she made it to work, she was just as rushed and frazzled as usual. At lunch, she texted Rachel, "Emily, this purpose thing isn't working. Still hate mornings. Rachel, did you actually, take a moment to think about your day before getting up? Or did you mumble something half asleep and roll over? Emily frowned. She's on to me. Day 3, a slight improvement. On the third morning, Emily tried again. Properly this time. She sat up in bed, took a deep breath, and said out loud, "Today, I'm going to be patient and kind, no matter how annoying people are." It felt a little silly, but something about saying it made it stick. Throughout the day, every time she felt irritation creeping in, at the slow barista, at the chatty coworker, at the person who cut her off in traffic, she reminded herself of her morning intention, and surprisingly, it helped. Day 7. A realization. By the end of the week, Emily had started looking forward to her morning moments of intention. It was just a few minutes of quiet before the madness of the day, but it made a difference. One morning, she sat up and said, "Today I will focus on gratitude." And suddenly, she started noticing things. The way the morning sunlight streamed through her window, the way her first sip of coffee warmed her, the fact that her coworkers laughed at her jokes. She had never really paid attention before, but setting an intention had rewired her focus. Week 2. Testing the theory. Emily decided to experiment. One day, she set her intention as, "Today I will be productive." She finished her to-do list before lunch. Another day, she picked, "Today I will be confident." She spoke up in a meeting instead of staying silent. It was like choosing her mindset before the day chose it for her. And for the first time, mornings didn't feel like a punishment. They felt like a new beginning. The unexpected ripple effect. One morning at the office, her coworker Jamie looked exhausted. "Late night?" Emily asked. Jamie groaned. "My toddler was up all night. I'm running on caffeine and panic." Emily hesitated, then decided to test a theory. "Try this. Before you dive into work, take a deep breath and decide how you want to approach today, just for a minute." Jamie gave her a skeptical look but shrugged. "Sure, why not?" He closed his eyes, took a breath, and muttered, "Survive the day without collapsing." They both laughed, but later Jamie stopped by her desk and said, "You know what? It actually helped. I still feel like a zombie, but I'm handling it better." That was when Emily realized this wasn't just about mornings. This was about control. Every day, life threw stress, problems, and chaos at her. But now, instead of waking up and letting the day happen to her, she was deciding how she would happen to the day. 1 month later, a new morning routine. Emily no longer saw mornings as an enemy. Now they were an opportunity. Her alarm went off, and instead of groaning, she stretched, sat up, and whispered, "Today, I will be present." She put her phone down instead of scrolling. She took her time drinking her coffee. She even enjoyed the quiet before work. And that simple change, starting her day with a purpose, had shifted everything. Takeaway. Mornings don't have to be chaotic. Before you get out of bed, take a moment. Breathe. Choose what your day is about before it chooses for you. Because when you start the day with purpose, you take control of your life, one morning at a time. Habit 6. The art of self-care. Emily had always considered self-care a luxury, something reserved for people who had their lives together. To her, it seemed like an indulgence, something she didn't have time for between work, errands, and the ever-growing to-do list that seemed to multiply overnight. Self-care is for people who take bubble baths and light candles while reading poetry, she once scoffed to Rachel. Rachel had simply smiled. Or maybe it's for people who are running on empty and don't even realize it. Emily had rolled her eyes then, but weeks later, after adopting gratitude journaling, meditation, and starting her mornings with intention, she started to wonder, was there something she was missing? The wake-up call. It wasn't until one particularly disastrous week that Emily realized she was at her breaking point. Monday started with a flat tire. Tuesday brought an email from her boss demanding a project by Friday, and by Wednesday, she had a headache that refused to go away. By Thursday evening, she found herself sitting in her car outside her apartment, feeling completely drained. Not just physically tired, but emotionally exhausted. She wanted to scream, cry, or possibly both. Instead, she texted Rachel, "Emily, okay, I give up. What exactly does self-care mean, and how do I do it without feeling ridiculous?" Rachel, "Start small. Think of it as recharging your battery. You wouldn't expect your phone to function on 1% forever, would you?" Emily, "Are you calling me a dying iPhone?" Rachel, "If the shoe fits. Now go inside, take a hot shower, drink some tea, and do one thing that makes you happy." "That's an order." Emily sighed, but obeyed, and for the first time in weeks she allowed herself to pause, discovering what self-care really means. The next morning she woke up feeling better, not magically healed, but less like she was being crushed by an invisible weight. "Fine," she muttered to herself. "Let's see what this self-care thing is all about." She made a list of things she genuinely enjoyed but never prioritized. Reading for fun, not just for work. Listening to music while doing nothing else, taking long walks without checking her phone, cooking something not microwavable, saying no when she needed it. Felt strange at first, unproductive. But as the days passed, she started to notice something. When she took care of herself, everything else became easier. The breakthrough moment one afternoon at work, Jamie, a coworker who always seemed cool and collected, stopped by Emily's desk. "Hey, you okay? You seem less stressed lately." Emily blinked. "I do?" Jamie nodded. "Yeah, last month you looked like you were 2 emails away from quitting and moving to a deserted island. But now, you actually look chill for once." Emily laughed. "I wouldn't go that far. But yeah, I've been trying something new, taking breaks, doing things I enjoy." "Who knew, right?" Jamie smirked. "Wild concept." That night, as she journaled, Emily realized something. Self-care wasn't about grand gestures. It wasn't about spa days, though those were nice, or expensive treats. It was about recognizing when she needed rest, setting boundaries, and giving herself permission to recharge. And that changed everything. 1 month later, a new way of living by. Now self-care had become part of Emily's life, not an extra task, but a necessity. She still had stressful days, but she no longer ignored the warning signs of burnout. She had learned to take breaks. Without guilt, recognize when she needed sleep over Netflix, say no to plans when she was exhausted, celebrate small wins instead of rushing to the next task. Most importantly, she had learned that self-care wasn't selfish. It made her better, at work, in relationships, and in life. One evening, Rachel called. "So, have I converted you yet?" Emily smirked. "Let's just say, I no longer think self-care is just for people who read poetry and bubble baths." Rachel laughed. "I'll take it. Take away. Self-care isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. It doesn't have to be fancy or time-consuming. It just has to be intentional. Prioritize yourself, recharge when needed, and watch how everything else falls to place. Because you can't pour from an empty cup. Habit 7. Healthy eating and exercise. Fueling the body. Energizing the mind. Emily had always had a complicated relationship with healthy living. She admired people who started their mornings with green smoothies, hit the gym 5 times a week, and raved about how amazing they felt after cutting sugar. But admiration didn't translate to action, and despite her best intentions, her reality looked very different. Her diet consisted of convenience, takeout, vending machine snacks, and far too much caffeine. Exercise, that was reserved for people with unlimited time and boundless energy, neither of which she had. "I just don't have time to cook or work out," she would say, as she microwaved yet another frozen dinner. Rachel, however, wasn't buying it. "You have time. You just don't prioritize it." Emily rolled her eyes. "You sound like one of those fitness influencers who make eating kale look fun." Rachel smirked. "Tell you what, give me 1 month. 1 month where you put in some effort, not for weight loss, not for aesthetics, just to feel better." Emily hesitated. "And if I hate it, then I'll never bring it up again." "A month," It was doable. Maybe. Fine, Emily said. But if I end up miserable, you owe me pizza. Week 1. The struggle is real day. One was a disaster. Rachel sent her a simple breakfast recipe, oatmeal with almond butter and banana. Emily burned the oatmeal. Twice. She also attempted a 20-minute workout video but had to pause 5 times to catch her breath. By the end, she lay sprawled on the floor, questioning all of her life choices. How do people enjoy this? She texted. Rachel, give it time. Your body is just in shock because it's been living off caffeine and sugar. Emily grumbled, but stuck with it. By day 4, she noticed something weird. She didn't feel as sluggish in the afternoons. By day 7, she had a breakthrough. She caught herself wanting to move. Instead of dreading exercise, she found herself looking forward to stretching after work. It felt good. Week 2. Discovering the little wins. Healthy eating was still a challenge, but she was learning. She found meals that didn't require Michelin star. Skills: scrambled eggs with avocado, grilled chicken with roasted veggies, even homemade smoothies that weren't completely awful. One afternoon, she realized something wild. She hadn't had an energy crash all day. Normally, by 3 p.m., she would be reaching for her 3rd cup of coffee, struggling to keep her eyes open. But now, she felt steady, focused. Rachel, are you a witch? She texted. Nope, just someone who eats vegetables. Emily groaned. Fine, I'll admit it. Maybe there's something to this whole healthy living thing. Rachel replied with a single emoji. Week 3. A shift in mindset. By week 3, Emily noticed another change. Her mood. She wasn't as irritable. She didn't wake up feeling like she had been run over by a truck. She was still busy, still had stress, but she handled it better. The biggest surprise? She actually enjoyed working out. She had discovered dance workouts, something she never thought she'd try. And it turned out that moving her body to music made exercise fun instead of a chore. She still wasn't a fan of burpees, but hey, progress was progress. Week 4. The final test and the last day of the challenge. Rachel invited Emily out for pizza. You survived a month. You earned this, Rachel said, placing a glorious cheesy slice in front of her. Emily took a bite, expecting guilt. But there was none. Instead, she enjoyed it, without the usual overstuffed, sluggish feeling that used to follow. So, Rachel asked, are you going back to your old habits? Emily thought about it. She thought about how much better she felt, how much more energy she had, how her body no longer felt like it was working against her. She smirked. Nah, but I'm keeping pizza in my life. Rachel laughed. Balance, my friend, that's what it's all about. Takeaway. Healthy eating and exercise aren't about restriction or punishment. They're about fueling your body, feeling energized, and creating a life where you thrive, not just survive. Start small. Find what works for you. And remember, it's about progress, not perfection. Because when you treat your body well, it rewards you in ways you never imagined. Habit 8. Mastering organization. Taking control of your life. Emily had always envied organized people. The ones who had color-coded planners, clutter-free desks, and an uncanny ability to remember birthdays. Meanwhile, Emily's version of organization involved a frantic search for her keys every morning and a mental to-do list that she constantly forgot. I thrive in chaos, she would joke. Rachel, as always, was skeptical. Or maybe chaos is just stressing you out and you don't even realize it, Emily scoffed. My system works fine, Rachel raised an eyebrow. Does it? You missed your dentist appointment last week. You double-booked dinner plans on Tuesday. And you just spent 20 minutes looking for your laptop charger. Emily opened her mouth to argue, then sighed. Okay, fine. Maybe I could use some help. Great. Rachel clapped her hands. Challenge time, 1 month. We're going to get your life organized. Emily groaned. Why do I feel like this is going to be painful? Rachel grinned. Because it will be. Week 1. Decluttering the mess. The first thing Rachel made her do was clean. Not just tidy, clean. Emily stared at the disaster zone that was her apartment. Piles of unopened mail, a closet bursting with clothes she hadn't worn in years, a kitchen counter covered in takeout containers. "We're tackling one space at a time," Rachel said, handing her a trash bag. "Start with your closet. If you haven't worn it in a year, donate it." Emily groaned but followed orders. 3 hours later, she had 3 bags of clothes ready for donation and a closet that didn't look like it was plotting her downfall. By the end of the week, her apartment felt lighter, and weirdly, so did she. Week 2, creating a system. "Now that we've decluttered, we're making a system," Rachel announced. "You need a planner." Emily rolled her eyes. "I have a planner." Rachel crossed her arms. "Where is it?" Emily muttered. "Somewhere under my bed, probably." Rachel sighed. "That's not a system, that's wishful thinking. You need a planner you actually use." She handed Emily a sleek, minimalist planner. "You're going to write down everything: appointments, deadlines, plans. No more relying on memory." Emily grumbled but gave it a try. By the end of the week, she wasn't forgetting things. And for the first time in forever, she wasn't rushing last minute to meet deadlines. "Okay, I hate to admit it," she told Rachel. "But this actually helps." Rachel smirked. "Told you." Week 3. Time management. Emily's biggest struggle wasn't just forgetting things. It was time. She never seemed to have enough of it. Rachel introduced her to the concept of time blocking. You assign specific times for tasks. Instead of a vague to-do list, you know exactly when you're doing what. Emily tested it. Mornings became dedicated work hours, afternoons for meetings, evenings for relaxation. Instead of feeling like she was constantly drowning, she had structure and, surprisingly, it made her more productive, not less. "Why did no one tell me about this before?" she asked Rachel. Rachel laughed. "Because you insisted you thrived in chaos." Emily shook her head. "Turns out, chaos sucks." Week 4. Staying consistent. By week 4, Emily had a clean apartment, a working planner, and a structured schedule. But the real challenge? Keeping it that way. "The key is consistency," Rachel reminded her. "Organization isn't a one-time thing. It's a habit." Emily put a system in place. 10 minutes each night to tidy up, weekly planning every Sunday, and checking her schedule every morning. A month ago, she would have rolled her eyes at all of this. Now, she couldn't imagine going back. One evening, as she wrote in her planner, Rachel texted her. "Rachel, so do you still thrive in chaos, Emily?" "Nope. I thrive in knowing where my damn keys are." Rachel sent back a laughing emoji. "Welcome to the organized side." Takeaway. Organization isn't about being perfect. It's about reducing stress, saving time, and making life easier. Start small. Declutter, create a system, manage your time. Because life is chaotic enough, your mind doesn't have to be. Habit 9. Mindfulness. Living in the present. Emily had spent most of her life either dwelling on the past or stressing about the future. If overthinking were an Olympic sport, she'd have enough gold medals to build a mansion. She replayed awkward conversations from years ago, worried about meetings that hadn't happened yet, and spent more time scrolling through social media than actually experiencing life. One evening, Rachel casually mentioned mindfulness over dinner. "You ever try just being present in the moment?" she asked, sipping her tea. Emily snorted. "If by present you mean checking my phone while watching TV and mentally planning tomorrow's to-do list, then sure." Rachel smirked. "Exactly my point. You live in a constant mental tornado," Emily sighed. "Okay, mindfulness guru. What's your latest challenge?" Rachel grinned. 1 month of mindfulness. Every day you do one thing with full attention. No distractions." Emily raised an eyebrow. "That's it? Just one thing?" "That's it, but you have to really do it. No multitasking, no rushing, just be there." Emily shrugged. "Fine, but if this ends up being a waste of time, I reserve the right to complain endlessly." Rachel laughed. "Fair enough." Week 1. The challenge of stillness. Emily started small. One morning, instead of scrolling through her phone while drinking coffee, she just sat with it. No notifications, no distractions. Just warmth in her hands, the quiet hum of the city outside, the rich aroma filling her senses. It lasted all of 3 minutes before she got antsy. By day 3, she tried mindful eating, actually tasting her food instead of inhaling it while working. She noticed textures, flavors, even how different bites felt. It was oddly satisfying. "This is weird," she texted Rachel. "Food tastes better when you actually notice it." "Groundbreaking discovery," Rachel replied. "Next, you'll tell me water is wet." Week 2. Finding mindful moments. By the second week, Emily started applying mindfulness to everyday tasks. Washing dishes, walking to work, even standing in line. At the grocery store became opportunities to be, instead of rushing to the next thing. She noticed things she had overlooked for years. The way sunlight filtered through her kitchen window. The sound of leaves rustling in the wind. The rhythm of her own breathing. One evening, she caught herself instinctively reaching for her phone while waiting for a friend at a cafe. Instead, she put it down and just observed. The laughter of a nearby table, the barista's effortless movements, the way steam curled from her tea. She felt present in a way she hadn't before, and it was surprisingly peaceful. Week 3. The power of letting go. Mindfulness wasn't just about awareness. It was about acceptance. Emily started noticing how often she resisted things. Traffic, delays, small annoyances. One morning she got stuck in a long line at the coffee shop. Instead of huffing and checking the time every 5 seconds, she took a deep breath. Nothing she could do about it, so why stress? For the first time, waiting didn't feel like an enemy. It just was. "Rachel," she texted later. "I think I just made peace with waiting. Who am I?" "A mindful queen," Rachel replied. "Welcome to the enlightened side." Week 4. A lasting shift. By the final week, mindfulness had become second nature. Emily no longer reached for her phone the second she had downtime. She actually listened in conversations instead of mentally crafting her next response. She even started using a simple mantra when stress crept in. "Be here now." One evening, she and Rachel sat watching the sunset, the sky melting into shades of pink and gold. Emily took a deep breath, feeling completely there. No worries, no racing thoughts, just that moment. "So?" Rachel asked. "Was it worth it?" Emily smiled. "Yeah. Turns out life's a lot better when you actually pay attention to it." Rachel smirked. "Told you." Takeaway. Mindfulness isn't about perfection, it's about presence. Life isn't happening in the past or the future. It's happening right now. Try it. Put your phone down. Taste your food. Feel the air around you. Just be. Because the best moments in life are the ones we actually notice. The power of habits. Emily's journey wasn't about grand overnight transformations. It was about small, intentional habits that, over time, reshaped her life. And now, looking back, she realized something powerful. Change doesn't happen all at once. It happens in the moments when you choose to do something differently. Here's a recap of the 9 habits that transformed Emily's life, and could transform yours too. 1. Gratitude journaling. Finding joy in the small things. Shifts your focus from stress to appreciation. Helps you see the good even in difficult times. 2. Morning meditation. Starting the day with a clear mind reduces stress and anxiety, increases focus and emotional resilience. 3. Daily reading. Expanding the mind, improves concentration and cognitive function, sparks creativity and new perspectives. 4. Practicing kindness. The ripple effect strengthens relationships and spreads positivity, boosts happiness by helping others. 5. Setting intentions. Living with purpose gives clarity and direction to each day, helps you stay motivated and aligned with your goals. 6. Self-care, prioritizing well-being, prevents burnout and promotes mental health, encourages balance between work and life. 7. Healthy eating and exercise, fueling the body, increases energy and improves mood, strengthens the immune system and overall health. 8. Organization. Taking control of life reduces stress by eliminating clutter, saves time and boosts productivity. 9. Mindfulness. Being present in the moment helps break free from overthinking and worry, brings peace and a deeper appreciation for life. Now it's your turn. These habits are more than just ideas, they are tools that can change your life. Imagine waking up every day feeling lighter, more in control, and truly alive. Imagine looking back in a few months and realizing how far you've come, just because you decided to take one small step today. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start now. Pick one habit, commit to it, and watch the magic unfold. Life is happening in this very moment. Embrace it, shape it, and make it yours. You have the power to transform your life. Believe in yourself, take action, and step into the best version of you. Now it's your turn. Which of these habits will you try first? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to tell us where you're watching from. We love hearing from our amazing community all around the world. If you found this journey inspiring, don't forget to like this video to let us know you enjoyed it. Share with someone who needs a little motivation. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more life-changing content. Thank you for being part of this journey. Remember, you have the power to change your life, one habit at a time. See you in the next adventure.